So welcome, Sylvia.
Thank you, Claire.
Good to have you here for this month's podcast. Please do tell us a little bit about the type of energy healing that you do, and anything else that you currently offer, and a little bit how you came to use it in your practice.
Many questions, Claire. Yeah, I'm Sylvia, and I practice Jikiden Reiki, which was my very first introduction to the world of actively practicing alternative health. I'd say for the last 25 years, I've been interested in alternative health and natural remedies and therapies and anything, you name it, anything that's not allopathic, and I love it. And but it was about 10, 12 years ago when I was talking to somebody who was telling me about Jikiden Reiki. And I'm like, well, I'm not interested. I've looked into Reiki before. I'm not interested. And she said, that's not Western Reiki, it's Jikiden Reiki. And she explained it to me that it's much simpler and purer and just more, more to the general how Reiki initially started. And then I was like, well, that sounds interesting. So I looked into it, started training, and well, the rest is history. I mean, that was just one start on my practitioner journey. I also offer laughter yoga sessions because that's a very, very fun tool to boost your health. And my absolute favorite, I have to say, because then I can empower my clients rather than treat them, is TRE, tension and trauma releasing exercises. So that's me in a nutshell.
Wonderful. And whereabouts are you based?
I'm based in East Kent, but with everything really I do, I teach mainly online. So laughter yoga is online, TRE in particular, and then Reiki, I mean, is mainly distance healing.
Fabulous. So you mentioned in our research that we did beforehand that you was managing a health food shop, and that's when you discovered how's it pronounced, Jikiden?
Jikiden, yes.
Jikiden Reiki. So obviously there's lots of different words for Reiki, and as you've just mentioned, one of them's more westernized, one of them's more Eastern. For those that have never heard of Reiki, what is Jikiden Reiki and why is it different?
So Jikiden Reiki is, I call it, or we call it, Japanese energy healing in its purest form. So that's how it initially started. And it wasn't super popular in Japan. In fact, it was even forbidden. So it was kind of practiced underground. And then this Hawaiian lady, American lady, learned about Jikiden Reiki and was fascinated and exported it to America. And I mean, in a way, we need to be really, really grateful to the Americans, or to her in particular, because Americans are generally great at marketing and getting the word out. But she found that just hands-on healing and looking out for the energy, or sensing the poison, as we call it, that's not enough. So she kind of bulked it up with chakras and this and that. I don't really know the Western Reiki that much. I only know from colleagues who trained in Western Reiki first and then came to Jikiden Reiki. But she made it, she thought, or apparently it's more attractive to a Western audience, and that is the Western Reiki. I'd probably say 95% of people are practicing. Jikiden Reiki is still like just hands-on energy healing. We don't do chakras. We don't do, as I said, I don't really know all the ins and outs about Western Reiki, but it's very, very pure and at the root of healing.
So tell me about the principles that you have and the ethics that you have that underpin the work that you do.
Well, first of all, I would never promise anything I can't keep. That's the most important thing for me. I mean, I would never talk anybody into, you need to be treated by me or learn with me in order to heal yourself. No. I very honestly say this can happen, and experience has shown, customer or client feedback has shown that that's the result. But all Jikiden Reiki does, it stimulates your own self-healing capacity. That's which I can kick off and help the body to, self-heal really. And then the results can be amazing, but well, there's no promise, obviously. And obviously, ideally the person sees a doctor as well, or first, to see there's nothing major. I mean, yeah.
And I think that's, from speaking to other practitioners as well, I think that's one of the key features, is that this isn't some kind of great big, you'll have one session and the heavens will open and lightning will come down and you can go, oh, wow, I'm healed. That's not what healing really means. It's a much more gentle, in line with your own self approach, from what I understand. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And I mean, we always say in Jikiden Reiki, the client doesn't even need to feel anything. It's important when we put the hand or have the energetic connection with the client, what we feel when treating somebody. This is much more important. Where do we feel the poison? Where do we need the energy stuck? And some people say, well, that was amazing, or I felt warm, or I felt whatever, secure and nice, or whatever. Fine, perfect. But if they don't feel anything, equally fine, because their body will do the work. I mean, I just believe in that. And I mean, hear that from client feedback, which then after even a few weeks, when people tell me, something has changed, and I'm like, all right, tell me more.
So it could almost be that it's like subtly working in the background without you even realizing it's happening.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is almost the same as when things start to go wrong, isn't it? When we realize that something's up. I read something once, I think it was one of those Facebook posts, but it really stuck out in my mind, which is, listen to your body when it whispers, so it doesn't have to scream.
Absolutely.
And it's almost like to me, the energy healing is like it's doing the opposite to balance your body again. So it's doing the whispering.
Yes.
To bring things back.
Absolutely. And I mean, we always say prevention is better than cure. And it's just a throwaway remark, yes, but I mean, it's so true. It's so true. When we work on more acute issues, they clear up much faster and quicker generally than on long-standing chronic issues. I mean, that's definitely a fact. When I treat somebody who just, let's say, yesterday sprained an ankle, I can have and see results much faster than with somebody who's been struggling for weeks. And then it's like, well, my doctor can't help me. It doesn't clear up. Whatever. Let's try another method. And then obviously it takes longer. Yeah.
So what do you wish they'd done instead?
Well, first of all, listen to their body. I mean, that to me, as also in TRE, as a body worker, that to me is the most important thing. Listen to your body and your initial gut feeling. What do I need? What does my body need? And then, yeah, sure, some people are like, well, I need to see a doctor, and they might wait for ages for an appointment. But in the meantime, they can say, well, let's try something to help me now. Yeah. Use the time. I'm not saying don't see your doctor. No, that's not my advice. But use the time while we are waiting, or while you're waiting. We know the NHS and the GP surgeries are overstretched and really, really busy. So it takes a while to get an appointment, if at all. But do something in the meantime. The quicker you start doing something, the easier, as I said, and quicker it can be resolved. And then you might, I mean, in the ideal scenario, you might need your appointment anymore, because your body has done it for you.
And I think that that's a good process. It's a bit like if you cut yourself, you wouldn't necessarily need to go and see a doctor and get antibiotics or anything like that, but you could put a plaster on it or get some air to it and let the body do its healing magic. So it's kind of encouraging that, but on a deeper level, I would imagine.
Yes, exactly.
So tell me about your own experience of receiving Jikiden Reiki, because I know it was introduced to you, and when you were first introduced to it, you wasn't necessarily interested initially.
Exactly.
Talk to me more about that.
Yeah, as I said, I was in this health food shop, which I was managing, the first job where I was able to combine my personal love for alternative health with a job, because in the past I was in IT, I was in business development, but not in health. And I had amazing customers, and we always had good chats. And you learn so much also from your customers, which is fabulous. They recommend what have helped to them. And I remember this woman came in and said, "Well, you should look into Reiki." And I just did this course, and I'm like, "Yeah, fine, tell me more," but I'm not really interested. And then, as I said, she explained to me, it's totally different from anything else I had heard before about Reiki, because it's so pure, it's so different, it's so Japanese. And I hadn't even experienced Reiki myself when I signed up for the course, because I was just determined I want to try that, and I want to find out for myself. Is it that fabulous? Is it so different? It really spoke to me. And then I just followed my gut instinct. I was like, I want to explore that. So when I receive Reiki, it really calms me down. It's really, really relaxing. It's deeply relaxing. I have to say, thankfully, I'm in really good health, so I never had Reiki for anything where I'm like, I see a big result. It was mainly for
is that because you have it regularly anyway?
Yeah, exactly. Or
Possibly.
because I generally, I shake is my with a TRE, shaking is my main modality. But I generally look after myself very well and probably have like good genes. But when I have Jikiden Reiki treatments, or normal Reiki treatments, when I do swaps with colleagues, I feel just really calm and cocooned in a way, and really, really relaxed afterwards. So it's quite often the most difficult thing is to get off that treatment bed again, or even when it's distant Reiki and I'm on my sofa and I'm like, God, yeah, it's just nice. It's just relaxing.
I really like that explanation of feeling cocooned. Is there like a feeling of safety and getting away from it all and just being in a different zone?
Yes. And it because it's energy, it works so nicely in a distant way, kind of remote treatment. And I remember I recently treated somebody who was really nervous because she had a breast cancer scar and was waiting for results, and was like, oh my God, she was all over the place. And she said after her treatment, she just felt so much calmer, so much like, content in a way, and able to, was like, I wait for my results, whatever the results is, but for the time I can't do anything anyway. But she felt so much calmer and said she had the best good night's sleep ever.
That's lovely.
Exactly. So it can have all kinds of calming or healing and tremendous effects.
When you're talking about your clients there, what would you say is the biggest thing that you've learned from them?
The biggest thing is that you don't need to believe in Reiki or in alternative health. I always say the proof is in the pudding. And I've treated quite a few people who were sent by their partners or their friends or whoever recommended getting a Reiki treatment. And they were, their opening statement is like, I don't believe in that, but like, I'm here and I'm desperate and I can't cope anymore. So I'm willing to try anything.
I'll try anything.
Yeah, exactly. It won't do the trick. It won't work anyway, but now I'm here, or now I've committed. And then these mainly left-brained people are realizing, oh wow, my pain is gone. I mean, I remember once in particular, I mean, it was a scientist who, again, scientist, very left brain, very factual. He played an awful lot of cello and had repetitive strain in his arm. And again, he's like, well, I can't play, I'm miserable, it's not getting better. But of course, I mean, Reiki can't help, can it? And I'm like, well, I don't know, can it? Let's give it a try. And after having treated him just for an hour, just for one session, I mean, he noticed a really big difference. And the following day, he was playing again. And that gives me the most joy when somebody's like, well, I mean, what can you do? I mean, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just signaling to your body for your body to heal yourself. Then you see if it works or if it doesn't work. I mean, even if it doesn't work, one treatment doesn't always bring desired results. As I said, if it's a long-standing issue, we need obviously more healing and more treatment to get to the root of the issue. But in this case, it was fairly acute and it did the trick after just an hour. And yeah, it's amazing for people who think, well, it's rubbish anyway, and then have to admit, something is happening. By the way, Claire, there's an amazing book by Dr. David Hamilton. I don't know if you came across him. At one stage, it's called Why Woo Woo Works, and he's really looking into all these kind of alternative practices. And from his scientific brain, because he comes from the pharmaceutical industry and was very interested in the placebo effect. So he still has this scientific thinking, and he's like, okay, let's look. Why does Reiki work? Why do crystals work? Why do prayers work? And so on and so on. And I mean, he really has the explanation. So anybody who's listening, who's interested or still kind of sitting on the fence and very skeptical, that's a book I'd really recommend.
That's really interesting because that was recommended by the last person I spoke to as well.
Oh, wow.
So that's great that it's come up twice. Because I had a look at it, I thought I might buy that and have a read myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I have brought it up in conversation a couple of times, the placebo effect. And what I really liked when I looked on your website is there's a link to some studies. And one of those studies is how Reiki had in one of these blind tests had a better than placebo effect. So I was like, that's really interesting, because one of the things I have asked previous people is, do you think that one of the ways to help people who are more scientifically minded is to say, like you have said, just try it anyway, even if it's just placebo. If it works, does it matter? And that's come up repeatedly for me. But I think the fact that there is now some studies where it's been shown as being better than placebo, it's going to start, I think, pricking some ears up. Communities that are a bit more closed-minded.
Yes, and even the NHS. I mean, the NHS in some hospitals, they are getting in Reiki practitioners, which I find amazing. Or during the very first lockdown, I was part of a team of Reiki practitioners, and we were treating NHS staff. I mean, NHS staff, people who are the most allopathic minded, practitioners or medical people in the world, they were open to it, and they saw a difference, in their well-being, in their energy levels, in their, I mean, it's just so amazing. It's just so amazing,
And so what was the feedback that you were getting?
From the NHS study?
From the NHS workers,
yeah. As I said, I mean, people, nurses in particular, were like, felt calmer, felt more energetic. I mean, they were going through dreadful times at the COVID, and it was all about mainly mental well-being in that case. I mean, they didn't present with any physical ailments as such, like repetitive strain, like my musician or something, but it was mainly feeling of calm and being able to cope better because of being more resilient.
I was interested in hearing more about that project that you was involved with, and I'm really pleased that it helped at a time when we needed it the most. So your unique perspective on
Mhm.
the fields of healing, what it means to you personally. Tell me more about that and about common myths and misconceptions that you may have heard and your view on those.
Well, as I said to you before, I would never see myself as a healer. I'm only the person who helps their client to kick off some self-healing powers. So, and I don't like this. I mean, I'm probably well, not very, a bit left-brained myself. I mean, my initial career was in IT, and it was all about obviously bits and bytes and facts. But
Also energy.
yeah, in a different way. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't see myself as the woo-hoo healer, and I'm like, I make everybody better. I mean, again, it's a very factual approach in my way. I offer it, but I don't see myself as the big healer who can change other people's life. It's more about enabling other people to tap into their self-healing and to kick off their self-healing capacity. Yeah, that's how I describe it.
So when you put hands on,
Mhm.
what's happening in that moment?
Well, the source energy kind of from the universe channels through me and gives this healing to the person I'm treating. And I can see or feel, not see, feel in my hands where the energy is, where the poison is, where the toxins are in the body, and where we need to kind of crush them with the energy. And again, I don't have to physically put the hand on my client's body. It works remotely as well, where I can really feel, and there are different sensations in yeah, what I can feel, whether it's just a slight tingling, or sometimes I have temporary pain in my hand because the reaction is so strong. So I mean, there's the connection, even energetically, just works, which is mind-blowing in a way. But
So
yeah,
you feel it on the part of when you're working remotely, you sometimes feel it on the part of the body, on your body, where the person is experiencing something theirs?
not on my body, but on the
Right.
hand I'm treating with.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because the hand I'm treating with would exactly be in the way I would physically put the
When you
hand
were
on the
hands on.
person's body,
Right.
and then it goes. I really notice that in my hand. Yeah. Yeah.
And do you have, when you're treating somebody, do you have any other sensations that happen, or is it all in your hands?
It's mainly in my hand. I mean, there might be some spontaneous kind of inspiration or gut instinct, as in, should I move my hand, or is there anything else? And I mean, obviously I explore that, but it's mainly what's the reaction I'm getting? Yeah.
And I assume that it's intuitive, but how do you know how long to do that for?
Again, you notice that. You notice what's happening in the body, and do I need to stay there longer, or is it kind of slowly calming down and
Right.
doing its trick? I mean, you learn that. You learn that when you learn Reiki. Yeah.
Fabulous. So yeah, I think that was going to be my next question, but I think you've covered it, which was how do you focus, how do you focus the body to kick off that healing process? But I think that you've already answered that which was going to be my next question, which is just
Yes.
by being guided to the part that is needed, and then you will feel the difference when it's ready to move on.
Exactly. And I mean, the body, the person I am treating, their body knows exactly what to do with the energy. Yeah. I'm not telling the body, you need to do it this way or get the energy here. Da, da, da. I mean, it's just really giving this impulse and this initial kick. And then the body knows, okay, yeah, can I work in that way? Yeah, help and heal myself? Absolutely.
And do you ever give yourself Reiki?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not as often. I mean, you know how that goes. You have this talent, or you have this training, and then you're the least person who well, experiences it. But yes, I do. I do.
Yes, I think that's quite common in a lot of things. The better you are at it, the less opportunity you get to do it for yourself.
Yeah, and not necessarily the better. I'm not saying I'm into it, but it's just like it's so normal, or it's so I don't know. Maybe I should do more self-care. I mean, it's a good impulse. Yeah.
Well, maybe your body automatically does it because you're in tune with that way of being.
Yeah, and I mean, I benefit when I give somebody a Reiki treatment,
I've
because I
heard
mean
people
the
say that.
energy goes through me anyway. Yeah, so I feel calmer. I feel whatever could happen in my body. I mean, that's the beautiful thing with energy.
Because I think where I was coming from back there is it's something that popped into my head that hasn't in previous interviews, is that why doesn't the body just do that anyway? Why do we need somebody else or some other like way of getting the source? But I imagine that there's something getting in the way. I don't know. I don't even know if you would answer that question. It just popped into my head, which is
Yeah, I
like,
mean, it's a good thought. It's a good thought. I mean, it's with so many things. I mean, even cognitively, when we are stuck in a certain situation and we are going around in circles and we don't know, or we don't know what to do, and we don't see a way out, you just need an impulse from somebody who said, "Have you ever tried? Have you ever thought?" And I see that is the same on a physical level, yeah, where your body just gets the energy in a condensed way, because it's also, I mean, energy is everything, and we are all energy beings. But if you get extra energy on this particular point on your body where you have the issue, then it's kind of times, I don't know, times 10, times 100. It's just more intensive.
I like that you said that, because again, you're kind of, it's almost psychic. You're kind of like moving into the next question I was going to ask, which is, are we all connected?
Absolutely. 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 And I mean, it's again, it's something people find it difficult to get their head around. And I do understand. I mean, if you told me 20 years ago, I would say, no, no, no. How could we? But I mean, I see that in my energy work every time. Sometimes I treat somebody and they fall asleep during the treatment, which is fine, which just shows it's very relaxing. The energy does its work. The person receiving it doesn't need to do anything. And also I said, okay, we do an hour's treatment. Quite often I go over the hour, because I'm like, no, 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 I still feel there needs to be more. And then, well, I finished the treatment after, I don't know what it was, 70 minutes or 90 minutes. And when I then spoke to the client again, she said, I didn't feel anything. I fell asleep immediately, and I know I woke up at this time. And I'm like, isn't that interesting? That's exactly when I took my hand off. Yeah. So, I mean, she was miles away. In fact, that was a Polish client in Poland. She was miles away. And as soon as I stopped the treatment, she was awake again. And I mean, I'm very interested in how plants, for instance, notice. I mean, there are some experiments where you are in this room or in this part of the city and the other part, and something happens to this plant, and the other plant, which is suppling or cutting from, is suffering. I mean, it all sounds woohoo, and it all sounds a bit strange, but you see the effects.
Have you ever heard of Rupert Sheldrake?
No, I don't
He
think
studies that phenomena. He calls it morphic resonance.
Oh.
It's that, and like if you the also the sensation of being watched. When someone's watching you but you can't see them. He also studies where if you have like a close family member, like a sibling or a mother, and you're thinking about them and they ring you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
That sort of phenomena. And also the phenomena of how you can have creatures from the same species but in opposite parts of the world, over generations will learn something this side of the world has learned.
Yes.
That species, the same species over in this side of the
Yes.
world, will have passed
Yes.
that down to their children, despite never being
I've heard
a
that.
part of it.
Yes, exactly.
And so that might be something of interest
Yes.
to you then, to look
Yeah.
up Rupert Sheldrake's morphic resonance.
Yeah, I will. I mean, I love, and you probably know that, Emoto's work, the water crystals.
Mm,
Yeah, and this is
I haven't
also
heard of it.
what you get out. I mean, he's dead now, but he researched how different energies you project into water then turn out as water crystals.
Mm,
So one glass of water or whatever it was gets beautiful music, or gets exposed to beautiful music, and then he puts a drop under the microscope and the water crystal is just beautiful.
mm,
And in another experiment, he has water which gets exposed to hate speech and really nasty negative things, and the water crystal then under the microscope is very distorted and really ugly. And just, I mean, when you think about it, it's just the energy, it's just the music, it's just the negative kind of hate speech,
mm,
and how it shows in the water. I mean, yes, it's all energy.
mm. And we're made of water.
Yeah, absolutely. We're made of water,
Largely.
we're energy beings. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fascinating stuff, and
Yeah.
and all of the same thing, which is energy, isn't it? At the end?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So yeah.
brilliant.
So I'd definitely urge anybody to look into energy healing. And even if they think, oh, that's rubbish, oh, well, give it a try. The proof is in the pudding.
Mm,
Yeah.
definitely. That's fascinating. I really like the idea that all of these I've kind of always had, because I've been interested in and practice loosely Buddhism for a long time.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I quite liked when I looked at your website is that you're interested in the Japanese Reiki, the Jikiden Reiki.
Mhm.
And my favorite form of Buddhism is Zen, which is also
Ah,
Japanese.
mhm.
Because again, it's the simplicity of it. It's, you know, it's taking away all of the marketing speech and all of the ways that it's been jazzed up or changed,
Mhm.
and just bringing it back to, you know, how simple it is. I've also studied here comes the menopause mind, because it's gone straight out of my head and it's a subject I know really well. But you know, the study of where energy flows, how chi flows around your home, and you can adjust your home.
Feng
And then
Shui. Feng Shui.
feng shui, that's it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then it went right out of my head then, and I do it almost every day.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's, you know, I think, and it comes from really ancient
Yes.
wisdom,
Yes.
before we all got very busy in our attention
Yes.
spans got
Exactly.
shorter.
Exactly.
And I quite like the ancient Japanese wisdoms and their understanding of energy in a very simple way,
Yes.
in that it was just a, well, it's real, we don't need to question it.
Yes. Exactly.
Thousands of years they've just known it,
Yes.
and
Exactly.
that's all you need.
Exactly. And I mean, as I said, if you see or get the results, the better. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm also not saying that the other Reiki doesn't work.
Oh, of
I'm not
course.
saying that at all. I mean, anybody who practices Western Reiki or gets Western Reiki treatment probably has similar or the same results. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think the same thing with Buddhism and meditation. We
Yeah.
know, you know, quite well now that meditation works, even if it's the clinical standardized version and
Yeah.
not the Eastern philosophical version.
Exactly.
It doesn't really matter, does it? It still has, it's the effect
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
matters. It's how it
Exactly.
leaves you feeling.
Exactly. And all I'm saying is the Western Reiki never spoke to me, but the Jikiden Reiki was like, well, that must make sense. Yeah. And I also like, as you said, the simplicity, and also probably the Japanese modesty, because they would never bulk it up and say, oh, I'm a Reiki master. No, that's not Japanese. We don't have Reiki masters. Yeah, we honor our teacher, but we would never say, even though I have the qualification, oh, I'm a master. And that's what I like about the because it's not about me. It's
Because the
about the
teacher remains the student
energy.
also.
Yes, and it's about the energy doing the work.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying I don't really see myself as a healer, more like an enabler. The energy is doing the work. My client's body is, doing the rest. Yeah.
That's lovely. So if somebody was maybe thinking or looking into Reiki or trying to find a practitioner, or maybe had been suggested it and wasn't sure, what would you say to them?
Well, what have you got to lose? I mean, what have you got to lose? You need to, I mean, I would, as I said, definitely urge everybody to give it a try. You don't need to believe in it. You just need to, well, I suppose, be open and say, well, I'll check it out and see if it works. And I love these stories when people are like, well, I have to admit it worked. I was skeptical, but and as we said before, Claire, I mean, it's not a quick fix. Yeah, it's not like, unless it's kind of acute and you're like, okay, I can clear that quickly. But it's not like you see somebody and after an hour or so you're cured. No, I mean, your symptoms might be better, but it might also take a little bit longer. I mean, it's your body which can't be rushed. Yeah. Yeah, but absolutely. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Give it a try.
Yeah.
That's my recommendation to you, especially the left-brained people.
Fabulous.
And especially nowadays, as I said, I don't want to compete with GPs or anybody in the allopathic field. And I would always say, have you had that checked by your doctor and so on? But while you're waiting, the waiting lists are getting longer. It's more difficult to give them. While you wait, do something proactively. Yeah, because the sooner you get the healing and the energy, the easier it is. And in allopathic health as well, I suppose. Yeah, the sooner you start, I mean, prevention, ideally. Prevention. Yeah.
Lovely.
Apparently in Asia, I also trained in TCM. Apparently in Asia, the practitioner only gets paid when the patient is healthy. So they see, I mean, I don't know if it's in the 21st century still the case, but in the old days, you saw your practitioner on a regular basis. So I had kind of what I understand as kind of the subscription service. And only when you stayed healthy, your practitioner was doing a good job. And then you got paid for it. Obviously, health is a bit more than getting a treatment by somebody. It's also looking after yourself proactively. But yeah, that's I quite like this approach that you do something.
It's encouraging the staying well rather than getting sick and then fixing a problem.
Absolutely.
So yeah, makes sense. Sylvia, it's been lovely talking to you.
And to you, Claire, thank you for this opportunity and your invitation.
Thank you so much. It's been fascinating, as it is every time. And the more I'm learning about it, the more my eyes are open to how it's connected to other things and how beneficial it can be for people. Fabulous, in all sort of areas. I think one of the questions that I thought about asking, and I'm not going to now, was which particular issue or illness or ailment do you prefer, or does it work better on? But I don't think it matters. It's whole, matter. Isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I had another nice example is I had a client. I mean, that was in face-to-face treatment, but again, doesn't really matter. So she was lying on the treatment bed. I was giving her Reiki, and after, I don't know, 10 minutes, she said, I really have terrible hay fever. I can hardly sleep. My nose is constantly running. My eyes are also running and itchy. I feel it's already better, but could that be the Reiki? And I'm like, well, what do you think? And she's like, well, can't be, can it? And because I'm just lying here. I'm just lying here. And I'm like, yes, but I'm treating you. And she said, yeah, you're right, because I'm just lying in my bed at night. And my nose is running and my eyes are itchy. And after 10 minutes on the bed, treatment bed, she noticed, well, my symptoms are not here. Again, I'm not promising I can heal hay fever, but that's an example where I was like, wow, 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Part of your toolbox of health rather than the only thing that's going to fix everything, isn't it? It's
Oh, absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know, like a recipe.
Yes. Yes.
One of the ingredients in your health recipe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And maybe one day we'll have an interview about TIE, which is even more impressive because then you can heal yourself. Yeah. I teach you the methodology and you can practice. And I found that even more empowering because Reiki, you always need somebody who treats you as a practitioner. He channels the energy into your body. But with something like TIE, which you learn and then practice yourself, super empowering.
Maybe we will.
Absolutely. Fabulous, Claire.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Sylvia.
You're so welcome.
It's been lovely talking to you.
And you.
Yes, I will happily share your details with everybody as well so they can learn more.